Hello and welcome to the ClinPsych Hub, and today we are going through what is an assistant psychologist. This is the role of an assistant psychologist within the NHS and within different services, how to get the role, what to expect, and some of the perks and some of the drawbacks as well. So let's jump straight in. So the role of an assistant psychologist. So I've broken it down into a few core chunks, but essentially all your work will be under direct supervision. So no matter what you do, whether it's client-led or admin or whatever the case may be, you'll always be supervised by either a clinical psychologist or a therapist or whoever, some qualified member of staff will be overseeing your work. You'll also undertake brief psychological interventions. So this might be things like helping people manage emotions. It might be anxiety, depression management, things like that. It won't be, like I say, too heavy, and it won't be what they refer to as sort of core CBT or an actual formal therapy model. It will take evidence from that, but it won't be a CBT intervention, if that makes sense. We'll be conducting audits. So this is a very common part of pretty much all AP professions. So this looks at doing a bit of a service evaluation. So for me personally, I have done audits around carers and primary contacts recorded on a system, audits around leave, Section 17 leave from hospital, loads of different bits and pieces. And it's a really nice project to be involved in, as it kind of helps you get a bit more of an in-depth understanding of the service you're working in. There is lots of admin, unfortunately, and it won't just be your own admin, it'll be the admin of other people's. So this will be adding all the entries in, this will be doing all the paperwork, letters, things like that. You'll be working with a wider team as well, so obviously depending on your service it will be different, but you'll work with nurses, doctors, psychologists, psychiatrists, OTs, social workers, carers, families as well. There's lots of different people that you'll be expected to liaise with and work efficiently with. And you'll be doing a lot of data collection and report writing. So this is a real crucial part of a lot of AP jobs. So this will not just be data collection in terms of outcome measures, so recording people's levels of, say, anxiety or depression or PTSD, but it'll also be, say, looking at things like the effectiveness of treatment, so doing a before and after, and maybe doing a bit of a report to see how a particular treatment went. So how to get an AP job. So this is the basics of the basic requirements, but obviously it goes a little bit more in depth. So you need a university degree, and it needs to be registered with the BPS. This degree needs to be at a 2-1, but if you've got a master's and things like that, then it won't be too much of an issue. But do make sure that it's registered with the BPS. That bit is crucial. Can't understate that enough. For most people, this will be an undergraduate degree in psychology, and mine was in psychology and criminology. But as long as it's recognised and you can check through the BPS themselves or your university, then you're golden. What this will do upon graduation is give you a graduate basis for membership of the BPS, which basically allows you to work in that sort of psychological role. You can think of it almost like a bit like insurance sort of thing. It states that you've got the core competencies to go and work in healthcare psychologically. Some experience working in healthcare. So for me, I would say this is crucial. It's not essential. I have known people I've got an AP job without any experience. It does happen. It's few and far between. It's not impossible, but getting some experience in healthcare is going to be absolutely crucial. For me personally, I started off working as a healthcare assistant in a psychiatric hospital, and then moved on to a more OT-based role in a forensic hospital, and that really gave me some fantastic foundations for getting started as an AP, especially in things like risk management, which they'll ask a lot about, and how you deal with distressing and potentially dangerous situations as well, because unfortunately it does happen. Experience working with statistics. This is a really common one because you'll be doing a lot of data collection, a lot of analysis. Having an idea of just basic stats is always helpful. It's not essential, but they'll often say it's desirable. And they tend to be band 4 to 5, depending on the role. So band 4 to 5 just refers to the pay scales. So the higher up you go, the more you get paid. Like I say, this really depends on what's expected of you. Band 4 roles is probably a little bit less expected of you, so you might not have as many, say, clients to work with. You might not have any at all. Band 5, there might be a bit of an expectation that you work more on your own and hold a bit more of a caseload and a bit more responsibility. But it really varies depending on your service and also the amount of money the service can pay as well. So is it essential to be an AP to get on to training? It's something I hear a lot and it's something I felt as well personally. I always had it in my head that getting an assistant psychologist post is like a golden ticket. It will open the doors, and it's just not the way it works, or it's certainly not the way it's working for me at the moment. So the answer is no, but it certainly helps. There's lots of AP jobs where your client contact will be minimal to zero. Some AP jobs will be purely administrative, purely data collection, purely research. So you really have to weigh up what kind of experience you want. For me, obviously, it's really important to get both of those, but getting the person experience, the client, the patient experience is crucial. And I definitely wouldn't have been as confident getting my various roles if I hadn't done that first. So don't worry too much if it's not an assistant psychologist position, but as long as you've got a role where you can apply psychological principles to your work, then you're going to be fine, as long as you can demonstrate that when you come to do your further training. So the perks of being an AP. So there are many perks actually, and I just listed a couple here, but there's more, and I could go into lots. But fundamentally, they can be really fun. I've had some brilliant experiences working in my role. I've met some brilliant people, both clients and staff, and you learn so much. You get to do so many different varied things if you're lucky, and depending on the service, like I say, they can be brilliant for your learning. It's absolutely fantastic. Which leads me quite nicely to the next point. It really helps provide lots of insight and experience into psychology within the NHS. It's quite an odd sector to work in. I mean, the NHS is odd anyway, but especially within psychology. So it really helps get an insight into what your life might look like if you did decide to pursue this career, because it is not all peaches and cream. Trust me, it is hard and long work. But the experience you gain, especially just doing these little brief psychology interventions, are excellent, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. And it connects you to people already in the field, which is really, really helpful for applications. So, like I say, you'll be supervised by a psychologist or therapist. You'll be constantly working with them. You'll be networking. Your name will get around. It's really, really helpful, especially if you're good. So it's excellent, and do utilize these people as well. I mean, I think they're sick of me constantly hounding, but you have to remember they did that as well, so it's okay. Really go for it. Get them to read your work. Get them to read. Ask for help. How can you stand out for your applications? Then I'm sure they'll be more than willing to help as well. But things to consider. So, like with every job, there are the practicalities to consider with AP posts, and unfortunately, they are quite a unique position. Lots of AP jobs are not permanent, which means that you'll have little job security, and this can make life really tough, especially with the cost of living and everything that's going on at the moment. There is a lot of uncertainty around it. Most AP jobs will tend to be for about a year, but I've seen jobs that have gone for 6 months, some even 3 months. So it's really tough. just as you feel you're getting settled into a team, your contract comes to an end and you have to scramble to find another job. So do keep that in mind. If your role does not involve working with clients, it can feel very disheartening. Sorry. Like I said, depending on the service you're in, it might be that you're not allowed to have any direct client involvement, or at least psychologically anyway, just because of the nature of it. I know for psychologists or assistant psychologists working in sort of child mental health, this can be particularly common, just because of all of the complications and issues around that. So you may not get client time in terms of doing psychology, quote unquote. So just be prepared and read the job description as well, because a lot of them will specify what's expected of you and what you'll be doing. So if you find an AP job and it is purely sort of admin and data and things like that, just keep that in mind, that it might mean you won't get as much experience actually doing the client work as you might like. And they're incredibly competitive and they're really hard to secure. This has been my experience in the past sort of year and a half or so, something like that. Because, and like I say, I saw them as like this as well, because they are seen like a golden ticket. Everybody is rushing out to get these jobs. People straight out of uni, people already working within the NHS. They're incredibly sought after, and so they are very hard to secure. So, the key there is, if you get an interview, prep well. Have people read your CVs, your applications. Each application process is different depending on the trust you're in. But do try and be really reflective what you've learned, about a situation, about yourself. What can you do differently next time? These are all things that will bolster your job applications even greater. And especially, like I said, with the issue around AP jobs not being permanent, it means that there's always a rush every year. It's a big sort of changeover where lots of people are going off to do different things, and some people will get on training, and so that'll open up a job. But please don't get too disheartened if you've applied for 4, 5, 6 and none of them or one turn up, because it's happened to me and it happens to everyone. And just some final thoughts. So the idea here was just to do a brief sort of overview of what to expect. So I know there's a lot of information out there and don't need someone else sort of waffling about it. But essentially, it's a really good first step into the world of psychology, and clinical psychology in particular. It's a great way to really figure out if it's something you want to do for the rest of your life, because clinical psychology, I think not a massive amount of it is known, and it's not the most glamorous job. And while not all AP posts are created equal, it's important that whatever role you do get, if you're lucky enough to get one, that you use that time to network and gain as much feedback as possible, whether it's about your writing style, whether it's about your working with others, your skills around clients, whatever the case may be. Get as much feedback as possible, write everything down, because it will really help you to prepare for further training and the applications that go around that as well. So I hope that was just a little bit helpful. Like I said, just summarising the basics really of what an assistant psychologist role looks like broadly, and what to expect, and actually some things to consider as well. But if you enjoyed this, then please do feel free to interact, drop a like, things like that, and I will be back with some more videos. Thank you.